Hey there, and welcome to a special edition of Walk With Us. Down near Cincinnati, Ohio, in Loveland. I came down for a business meeting that got canceled about 15 minutes away from the office. So I stopped in and said hello and had a couple of stand-up meetings and decided to, since it's nice out, to grab some lunch and come to a place called Kelly Nature Preserve. It looks like an interesting place on the map. There's two paths to take. I'm not really quite sure which one to go to. The map's not extremely helpful. It says canoe access this way. That sounds promising to me. So I think we're going to take that direction first. And if that doesn't pan out, we'll see where that thing goes. Come on, girl. So yeah, I decided since I was this far down to continue going south instead of turning around and about going back home, because I have Gabby with me, as everyone can see. And so it was a nice visit. Found out some information, got some things that I didn't know was going on. Oh, it looks like the river is right there. So if this doesn't pan out, we can go the other direction. So this is kind of serendipity. The weather was nicer about a half hour ago. It's still not too bad. I don't think I'm gonna get rained on at least. Come on, girl. Yeah. Come here. Leg. Gabby, leg. Leg. Come on. This river we're heading to right here is the Little Miami. It actually runs past our office building. Now, if anybody's watching these and you're confused, I co-own a company down in Cincinnati in Loveland. That's a marketing company, and I have for probably about 17 years. And I recently went part-time. I semi-retired, and if you've been watching these at all, I'm working at a veterinary clinic as a vet assistant. But I still have obligations and duties to my company in Cincinnati as well. Oh, that's pretty fast. Come here. Don't get too close. So I guess this is what they consider canoe access. It's kind of sketchy to me. The river looks nice though. It's moving nice and slowly. Looks like there's a path going down this way too. Maybe we'll take that for a little ways and see what happens. Come on, good. Careful. One of my employees at work, she was working in her backyard, chopping down these vines off of trees, I guess that were strangling some of her best trees in her on her property. They live kind of in the woods apparently, and turns out these things were called I think Virginia creepers or something like that. Apparently she had a severe allergic reaction to it, and when I walked in, her face was like double the size and she had red welts all over. And whatever this stuff is, it's a plant like poison ivy. It got into her internally as well, and it's affected her throat and her speaking. I felt sorry. She looked pretty miserable, and it's been going on for days now. She went to the ER and got all sorts of shots and Benadryls and anything I guess they can provide, but it was just really nasty. Apparently the things that hold the ivy to the tree, the little fingers, fall off, and those are the things that get people sick. I guess it's by design. The vine does not want to be destroyed, so it's going to attack you as you're trying to destroy it. But it's not something that I want to get into, and I'm definitely going to have to look that up to see what that stuff looks like. She said it has 5 fingers, unlike poison ivy, which I believe has 3 fingers. I'm sure there's plenty of it out here where we're standing right now. This is a really pretty park. Parking lot is tiny. I guess on Google, several people complain that it gets really crowded on the weekends. Again, another benefit to be able to have the opportunity to do this during the week, because I'm generally busy on the weekends anyway. I wonder how far this goes. I bet it goes a long ways. Uh-oh, there's a vine. Now I'm scared of everything that looks like a vine. Look at that crazy thing. When I was looking up this place, I saw a picture of a really cool tree that had green moss all over it. And it was a really old tree, really large. I was hoping to see if I can find it, but it might be a little bit of a needle in a haystack in a nature preserve like this. I just love walking by rivers. It always gives me a sense of freedom. I guess any body of water does, except for a swimming pool. Those generally just make me sick because of all the germs. Looks like the park's fairly well maintained. The path's nice, not too many divots or any puddles or anything like that. Although it hasn't rained in a couple of days, I suppose. But it seems to be tended. I said it before and I'll say it again, Ohio's got some of the best outdoor places to walk and just have a great time in nature. It's only usually you can find a place within a half a mile of your house. There's a path that goes somewhere going back. There's paths everywhere. Let's see where this goes. Oh my God. Looks like it goes down to the river. Oh, next to the steep. Careful. There's a cool tree. Looks like there's some makeshift steps here at one time. Come on. Some honeysuckle. Uh-oh. Got some serious signage going on up here. Yeah, it looks like this is where the park boundary is. I have a feeling this is going to loop us back around to the parking lot. They're pretty serious about private property. Whenever I see those signs, I wonder what's so much better on that side of the barbed wire fence. Why do they need barbed wire? Eesh. That's just unfriendly. Yeah, it looks like it's going to take us back out to where we were. Hey, what was that? Whoa. She just went after something with a big mouth. That scared the heck out of me. My heart is beating like a rabbit. I have a feeling it was some sort of little mammal. She went mouth first. Yikes. Come on, girl. Don't be biting stuff in the woods I can't see. Yeah, if this takes us back to the parking lot, give me a chance to drop off this little present that she made on our first leg of our walk here into the garbage can. Come on, crazy. This is nice. Little mowed meadow path going on. Come on. Looks like pretty good weather for ticks, so I'm definitely gonna have to give her a once over once we get back home. It's been pretty wet, and I don't think they're as active when it's really moist out. But now that it's dried up, I'm sure they're all just waiting to jump on things and eat people and doggies. I've been reading a lot of horror stories in my vet group on Facebook. Ticks are just crazy this year, especially in the Pacific Northwest. People are just being bitten left and right. Especially if they have animals in the house, the ticks are relentless. I had a client come into the clinic yesterday and asked me, since they have a cat that never goes outside, is it okay not to treat them? Well, my answer was that bugs do come inside as well, especially if you have animals that go outside and inside and outside and inside. So Yes, you need to protect indoor animals as well from ticks and fleas. Um, Fleas are, in particular, are very, what's it called? They like to take advantage of situations. So if 3 of your pets are protected from fleas and ticks with flea meds, and one of them isn't, guess where all the fleas are going to go? They're not dumb. They've been doing this for a long time. So if they sense there's poison, they will jump to a pet that is not treated. And in a lot of households, that turns out to be the cat for some reason. I think people are pretty good about treating dogs because of the media and all that kind of stuff, and they tend to get pretty infested. But what few people realize is that all the fleas in our part of the country are cat fleas. There are no dog fleas. So the fleas that your dog, your bunny, that kind of stuff, they're all cat fleas. Nice little meadow that we're not going to let Gabby run through, because that is just like a playground for bugs. Yeah, and there's the parking lot. son. Okay. I guess we'll go down that other fork over here and see where that takes us. No, we're not going back. She thinks we're going back in the car. Let's get off the hardtop. There you go. It's funny, I stumbled across this on the way in. This was a client of ours back in the early days of my marketing company. And now they're like at so many different parks. They really monopolize the parks. And they're cool. They're like this bag shaped like a glove, and they're real easy to use. I grabbed a few to keep in the car for our walks because they are very handy to have. Beautiful day. There's a nice twisted vine. It's pretty cool. I half expect to hear Tarzan. Looks like they've been clearing out some stuff here. A lot of dead trees. In Ohio, we have fire hazards just like they do out west because of all the green. Whenever we get a drought, we have to be careful. I know there's been a fire raging in Kentucky, not too far from the Ohio border for quite a while now. It's on the wildfire map. All right, so here's a really ambiguous sign. It says trail, left and right. There's right, there's left. Well, there's people coming that way, so let's go this way. Watch out for the dog poop. People need to pick up after the doggies. This is a perfect trail for walking a dog, though. trails all over the place. Get lost after a while. Let's go up this one. Again. When I was a preteen, my parents would send me to summer camp, day camp. And man, that was just the most awesome thing to get away from the house. I know they did it partially for me, but I think they did it for themselves too, just to get the kid out of the house. But I used to love going to camp. When I was born in New York City, and when I was growing up until we moved to Ohio when I was 12, this kind of stuff was pretty non-existent for me. So you can imagine I was pretty wide-eyed when we moved into an apartment complex, and very like in the border of our apartment complex, there was a big woods, and all of us used to play back there like all the time, all sorts of things, get into all sorts of mischief. And when you're growing up in Queens, New York, you don't really have this kind of green space. So that's probably why I'm in love with it so much. As a teenager, that's all we did. Well, we would go into the woods and do naughty things. I shouldn't say bad things. Here's another fork. How many times can we get forked? All right, Gabby's leading the way. Guess we'll find our way out of here eventually. That must be the road we came in on. It's a pretty industrial road. It had a big fill dump. Yeah, that's it. There's a cemetery right there. Come in. I have a feeling this trail just loops back around. Everything goes back to the parking lot eventually. Seems like when I'm in the woods, I never see very many wild animals. There's this place I go to called Rush Run Park, and I'll tell you what, at least half the time I see a small family of deer, let's say about 6 of them. They hover around the perimeter of the woods, and I see them more often than not. But on our last adventures that Gabby and I have been taking, I haven't seen any. On my drive down to Cincy, I take Interstate Route 71, which runs north and south from Cleveland. Gee, I guess it goes all the way to Florida, or at least to the coast, southern coast. And I often see roadkill, and it's usually deer. Lately, though, and today, I've been seeing coyotes much more than deer. I have a feeling that our population is starting to get a little bit out of hand when you start seeing them. And there have been reports of sightings in my neighborhood and around my neighborhood. And right now, they're just at the end of their whelping season. So they're still a little bit aggressive. And there was a dog attacked, probably about 2 months ago at a local park. And the game warden, or whatever they're called, figured that they had a nest of puppies, and they were just kind of protecting their territory, so they attacked the dog. I think the dog did okay. Let's go this way. This way. On YouTube, I saw a video about a dog, a little dog, I think it was a Chihuahua, that got attacked by a coyote. And the coyote wound up pulling part of the dog's small intestine right out of its body. And the owner recovered about 12 inches of it. Unfortunately, when the doctor went in to explore the area, the coyote had pretty much taken the entire small intestine from the stomach all the way to the jejunum, which is, I believe, the beginning of the large intestine. So unfortunately, the dog had to be put down. But what was amazing is the dog was standing, was not in shock. It was just kind of hanging out. And the doctor was amazed that this dog was just standing there with its entire lower small intestine out of its body. It was pretty amazing, I have to say. This particular vet on YouTube is really interesting. He does some really deep dive cases, and you know, considering that I've just entered the profession, it's interesting to me, for now at least, to watch the crazy surgeries this guy does. He had a puppy in that was at a dog park, and another dog attacked it and tore probably about a third of its ear away. So this guy spent all this time working from all different angles to reattach the ear, and it was mostly successful. The ear wound up curling because of a blood supply problem. But the last I saw on the video, the dog retained its ear, but it looked kind of funky. Don't get me started on dog parks. I'll have to have that conversation one day when we're doing another walk with us, because I have some opinions about those. But I don't want to sound too preachy. Here's another fork. All right, Gabby says go this way. She's smarter than me. Place like this would be nice for horseback riding too. There's a mosquito just bit me. I was just gonna say that I haven't seen any other bugs out yet, but I guess the mosquitoes have arrived. I hate them little suckers. Suckers. You have these little random signposts that just point to nowhere. Wow, another one. Okay, come on. Too many mosquitoes in here. Let's go. I don't feel like testing your heartworm meds. Not to mention, I hate mosquito bites. For some reason, mosquitoes find me extremely tasty. They always have since I was a kid. My grandma, she used to say because I was so sweet. You know, that didn't fly with me. I hated them things because I used to really have some severe reactions to mosquitoes. So maybe I do have sweet blood. I have a feeling because of how wet this spring has been, we might have a mosquito issue this year, which means they'll probably spray, which is always fun when they fog a neighborhood. If you ever do see a coyote and you're with a dog, do not let the dog off the leash. Popular belief is that the dog has a better chance of withstanding an attack from a coyote if it's off leash, but that's just not true. Especially the smaller dogs, they will get apprehended very quickly because they're not very brave. Most dogs are not brave. And although they may bark and growl and snarl, when something's coming after you that's wild, they will turn tail and run because they're not dumb. Yeah, there are exceptions to that rule. There are some dogs that will definitely fight back. But if you're walking with a dog and you have a large dog, you're in better shape. And all you need to do, if the coyote gets menacing, make yourself look as big as you can and raise a ruckus. Flashlights work too, horns, bells, just scream at it and stamp your feet. And they're pretty skittish by nature unless they're sick or extremely hungry or trying to protect one of their own. Otherwise, they should pretty much scamper off. I was walking Gabby in our neighborhood beginning right at the end of the winter, and she and I both heard a couple of coyotes doing their cackle. And what's unusual about coyotes when they do that is you can't tell from which direction it's coming from. It sounded like they were surrounding us, and it was likely just two coyotes making various intonations at different pitches and different cadences to try to make us think that there was a lot of coyotes in the neighborhood. What they also will do is cry like puppies to lure in dogs unsuspecting, because dogs are curious, especially if they hear a puppy whining, and then they will ambush them. Now, with that said, there aren't that many attacks by coyotes reported, at least in Ohio, because they do tend to want to stay by themselves, and they are loner creatures. I almost hit one in Cincinnati about 2 years ago, coming around a curve off of 71. It was a big one too. And then I saw one running around near our neighborhood that was kind of scrawny, but it was definitely a coyote. It had the big bushy tail and the long skinny legs. They're generally relatively small, like 35 pounds maybe. Gabby here, she's over 75 pounds, so she would be pretty intimidating to a regular coyote. Now, if there's two, there's a whole different story. But like I said, unless there's an extenuating circumstance, they'd rather just keep the heck out of your way. I hear something moving back here. It's probably squirrels though. Sounds like the quarry is blasting today. And there's the parking lot way over there. Oh, these are so pretty. Look at these. Little daisies, or something related to a daisy. I didn't find that tree that was in the picture. I'll have to try to post that. It was pretty cool. This place is like 4 minutes from my office building, so I think I'll maybe come back sometime this summer. It's a nice walk, nice, flat, easy. I mean, if you were in a wheelchair even, you could probably do a good portion of these trails. Not the one back there going up the hill necessarily, but these are pretty flat. So if you have any mobility problems, I'd say that you could probably handle this park pretty easy. It's pretty easy going. So we're back to where we started. So with the ringing of the wind chimes, I think we'll end this walk with us today, Wednesday, May 15th, at the Kelly Nature Preserve in Loveland, Ohio. Y'all have a great day, and we'll see you again when we get another chance to do another walk with us.